Hello everyone, and welcome to your second video on the working together problems. So if you remember, we had Brenda and her dad are cleaning the kitchen. Brenda can clean it in 30 minutes and her dad can clean it in 15 minutes. And the big question is how many minutes will it take if they work together? So we set up our formula, 1 over 30 plus 1 over 15 equals 1 over x. Now I know that I could turn you guys loose right now and a whole bunch of you would be able to solve this problem. You would come up with a common denominator of 30x, you would multiply everything by that, you'd reduce all of your fractions, and you would crank out an answer. And that's great. I'm going to show you another way to do it, an easier way. Now you can only use this method if you are actually solving an equation. Okay, you have to have an equal sign, you have to have a number of some sort on both sides, okay? But if that is the case, then you can do this. So the first thing that you have to do is you need to calculate your magic number. And the way you calculate a magic number is you find any number that all the denominators go into. All the denominators go into. So, here we have a 30, a 15, and an x. So our magic number in this case is going to have an x in it because we have an x in the denominator, and it has to be a number that both of these can go into, which is going to be 30. So 30x is our magic number. Okay, the second step is to multiply all the denominators by the magic number. Multiply all, did I say denominators? I didn't mean that. I meant numerators. Multiply all the numerators by the magic number. So in this case, this would be 1 times 30x, so it would just be 30x over 30, plus 1 times 30x, which is 30x over 15, equals 1 times 30x, which is just 30x, over x. So that's the next thing that you do. All right, third step is to eliminate the denominators. And watch this. This is so cool. Eliminate denominators. I hope you're putting this in your notes. This would be a great thing to go in your notes. Okay, so to eliminate the denominators, watch this. This first number, I have a 30 on the top, 30 times x, and on the bottom I have a 30. So I can just cross those off. So I'm left with x. Over here, 15 goes into 30 twice, so I have 2x there. And over here, I get to get rid of my x's, so I just have 30. Look at that. We went from 3 completely separate fractions to just a nice, easy formula with an x. So now, our fourth step is to solve. Solve for x. All right, so that's going to be x plus 2x, that equals 3x equals 30. Divide both sides by 3, x equals 10. So it's going to take 10 minutes for Brenda and her dad to clean the kitchen together. So you can see Brenda would really like to have her dad help her, right? Because that saves her a lot of time. All right, let's do another one. The second example that we did in our first video was Fiona and Fabio, and they're vacuuming the car. So it would take Fiona 10 minutes to do it, and her little brother Fabio is not much help because it would take him 45 minutes to do it. But even though he's not much of a help, we're still able to calculate how fast they can do it together. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out my magic number. So my magic number needs to be any number that all 3 denominators can go into. So it's going to have an x in it because I have this x denominator. And then I need a number that both 10 and 45 can go evenly into. And the answer there is 90. Sometimes people wonder, how do you know that it's 90? Well, what I do is I start with the largest number, and then I just keep multiplying that by 1, by 2, by 3, by 4, by 5, until I get something that works for both numbers. Okay, so I did, my magic number is 90x. So my second step is to multiply numerators by magic number. Okay, so 90x is my magic number. So 1 times 90x is 90x. That's going to be over 10 now. 1 times 90x is 90x, and that is over 45. And 1 times 90x is 90x, and that is over x. Step number 3 is to eliminate denominators. So I get to say, all right, 90 divided by 10 is just 9. So that's going to be 9x is my new number here. 90 divided by 45 is 2, so I have 2x right there. And now my x's cross out, so I just have 90 on that side of the equation. Now I have a nice normal problem to solve. So this is going to be 11x equals 90. Divide by 11, divide by 11. X equals, what is that going to be? That's going to be 8 and 2/11. So it would take 8 and 2/11 minutes if both Fabio and Fiona worked together. Okay, let's do another one. In our example so far, we've had minutes be our unit of measurement. In this case, we're switching to days, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. So Ted can build his barn in 14 days, and Chris can build his barn in 8 days. So how long would it take them if they worked together? Well, let's calculate our magic number. So our magic number is going to have an x in it because I have a denominator here with an x. And then I need a number that both 14 and 8 go into. So I do 14 times 2 is 28. 8 does not go into that evenly. 14 times 3 is 42. 8 doesn't go into that evenly. I keep going in that way until I get to 56 because both 8 and 14 go into 56. So my magic number is going to be 56. All right, so then my second step is to multiply 56x times all the numerators. So that's going to be 56x over 14 plus 56x over 8 equals 56x over x. Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's especially nice because now we get to do some canceling. 14 goes into 56 4 times. So that becomes 4x. 8 goes into 56 7 times. So that becomes 7x. And my x's cancel out, so this side of the equation is just plain old 56. So now solving for x, I get 11x equals 56. Divide by 11, divide by 11. X equals 5 and 1/11 days. That's in days. Okay, so it would take them just a smidge more than 5 days. Oh, they should work together more frequently. They would get a lot more barns built. Okay, let's see here. Abby and Ulysses are destroying Lego masterpieces. And here's our formula. 1/15 plus 1/5 equals 1 over x. So we're going to calculate a magic number. Now our magic number, again, is going to have an x in it. And we need a number that both 5 and 15 can go into. And so I'm going to use 15. Now, let's say that you were distracted while you were doing your math. Perhaps you were listening to music far too loudly while you were doing it, and you forgot that 15 would be a good number. And instead you said, I'm going to use 150. That's fine. You eventually get to the same spot. It would just be uglier and you would have bigger numbers to work with as you went along. But you can still do that. So as long as your number works for all the denominators, it doesn't matter if it's too big. Okay, so now we take our magic number and we multiply it by all the numerators. So we get 15x over 15 plus 15x over 5 equals 15x over x. All right, and now we get to cancel some things out. So I get to cancel out those 15s, which leave me with just x. 5 goes into 15 3 times, so that's going to give me 3x. And here I get to cancel out my x's, so that side of the equation just equals 15. That gives me 4x equals 15. Divide both sides by 4. You get x equals 3 3/4. That's how many seconds it would take them to bring their older cousin to tears. All right, so hopefully this gives you an idea of how these types of problems work. All right, you'll get lots of practice in your cities, don't worry.